Hello and welcome back. So continuing where I left off, I'm going to review my game with JanJay from the chess.com beginner chess bot category. Wow, that's a lot of words. So, I'm going to, oh boy. So, I'm going to X out of this page. Don't look. Oh wait, that's not the right one. Alright. Okay, so my game against JanJay bot, who's rated, what is she rated? 700. Alright, so let's see what happened. She started with Queen's Pawn opening. I started with the Indian game, which is denoted by Knight G6. Knight G6. I'm not good at notation, but I figure that the more I use it, the better I'll get. So before, when I first started learning to play the King's Indian Defense, I think that I would like start with like this, or like this, and then it would always run into this. And so I just started putting this knight up first to prevent this from ever happening. Because I didn't want to like get blown off the board like immediately. I get really annoyed when people like do this, and then I do this, and then they bring their bishop out, and then I put my bishop here, and then they move their queen there, and it's just like, by the time I castle, they already have like an attack going here. But I suppose there is like this, which it doesn't work here. I think it would be like here or something. Anyway, so she's continuing with the queen's gambit, which is this and this. It's not really a queen's gambit because I'm not really playing into it. I'm continuing with the king's Indian defense, getting ready to fianchetto my bishop and castle, get all my pieces developed so I can start the attack. So knight comes out, standard move. Bishop comes out, standard move. Now I've got 3 pawns in the center. I think that she's playing relatively well at this point. You know, she's got like a lot more control of the center than I do, and and because then I know that I said that I put the knight here to prevent this, but excuse me, because the knight came in here, it supports this. So I was a bit nervous, you know. Playing the King's Indian defense can be a bit nerve-wracking because you allow your opponent to like get this big center, and you have to like, you know, you have to be patient. So I started with this move. This move is, I guess, to stop this from happening. I think takes. I guess queen has to take, and then I can go here and put double attack on it, but that doesn't work because of this. So, but I went ahead and did that because it's the reason that I played this move was only to protect the knight. That's it, and that was the objective. So 4 pawns attack. I like to play this myself, and I feel like it has something to do with this. But okay, I've like studied the King's Indian attack, and I know that like this move is a move, and this move is a move. But when I like reviewed some of the courses on like chess.com or whatever, I felt like the E5 push was like really important, and you're supposed to, I felt like when I was like learning how to play it, you play like the E5 way earlier than you feel that you should. It has something to do with like some sort of tactical line, but I need to continue learning theory. So I play E5, so if takes, that's not good for me, because then I don't get to castle. What was the idea? Takes. Okay, so takes, takes. Oh, then queen trade first, and then they could like develop the knight. But we didn't get that. A redefense in the center, which gives me one extra move to reinforce my center, which I did. I decided to move it here instead of here. I wanted to leave the bishop here, leave the bishop open, but I'm trying to encourage him to play this move, so it shuts down the center. And also, if takes, takes, and or takes, and then wait, takes, takes, takes. If takes, then I still have this. And so, we have an intermezzo move to move the knight. I'm not too afraid of this because, you know, the knight is supposed to, like, you know, try to get over to the king side. But instead of going on the inside, I decided to go on the outside, which I typically don't like to do because it just gives his knight, like, a new square. He's just like, okay, well, what are you doing? Well, I think that my idea was I have this, and then this, and I could trade for the bishop instead, and this was that. So he completely ignores all of this and just goes for an a4 push. I castle. You know, my king's to safety now. This is a threat at a certain point. I don't know what this does. I don't know what this does at all. I think that you should probably have like prioritized like something like this. If I had taken, probably not. Probably taken like queen or something. But avoid this at a certain point. I didn't see any sort of like attack going, so I think I wanted to stop him from getting this. So if this, I would have taken back with this, and this would, like, you know, leave this pawn isolated, which I could become an attackable target. And I had like dreams that the bishop would become active. You know, this pawn wouldn't be in the way anymore. Okay, so now he's got 2 pounds of pressure. So if he takes, I take, and he wins a pawn. So this doesn't tactically work, does it? Because takes, takes, takes. There was, oh, that was the logic. Then I had this move. This guy can't take, so queen takes, and then I win the rook. That was the idea I had. And I'm sorry, what? Oh. So, he did it out of order. He should have done this one first, and then this one, but unfortunately he did it out of order and did the queen first. So, oops. I could have done this immediately, and I probably should have done this immediately. What was I concerned about? This? That doesn't do anything. I should have done this immediately. Maybe I was... It doesn't matter. Oh. I wanted to dislodge him from protecting. And I didn't want to trade my bishop, I think. Well, and I don't have to, so now I've got like lots of pressure on this. So I think this was also something I was concerned about, and that's why I did it in the specific order that I did, because I knew that I could reinforce at a certain point. Well, if I did it as soon as then he could have done that, so I guess that still works for him. But then the bishop would have been hanging, and then we still would... Anyway. So, it doesn't matter. I've still got enough pressure. Oh, I wasn't expecting that in the game. I was really expecting him to take, and then I take, and then... But he cut his losses. Best he could do. So, this move stops this move. Not that that really does anything, but it puts more pressure on the position, so I wouldn't be able to like infiltrate in any of these squares because the knight is doing its job right now. So, attacking this, because I couldn't figure out, you know, what else to do. I mean, there was this. So, what does this do? Not a whole lot. Oh, it protects this pawn, so that was the idea. So, continuing, trying to put pressure on his position, trying to overwhelm my opponent. This nerfs my bishop into oblivion, but this, look at how miserable this bishop is. So the opponent would have much rather have a dark squared bishop, and this is what like determines a good bishop from a bad bishop. Like, this is a bad bishop because all of the enemy pawns are on like squares, and this is an ungodly bishop because it can go anywhere on the board right now. Although it's got no attackable targets, but it still like dominates over the dark squares. So take the free pawn. All right. So it activates the rook. That's probably what the move was for. Do I have a better move here? No. It doesn't seem to be. So king moves. Check. 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 I'm trying to figure out where the mate is. Okay, so the idea is I can actually take here because this isn't guarding anymore. Alright, so trade, you know, simplify, because I still have this. Check. Alright. Doesn't have any sort of defense. I probably should have taken the queen, just like moved there. And then I could have moved here. No, I didn't have that because the knight guards. So bring up my last piece, protected by the bishop, and then mate. I had 2 misses, and this is why we do game reviews. So let's look at the game review with JanJay. I played at 77.3% accuracy, but only at 1400 strength. So I could have done better this game. Let's start the review. So, queen's pawn opening. Bring the knight out, the Indian game. Is this still called the Queen's Gambit? I don't think it's called the Queen's Gambit because there's no gambit happening. I think it's only called the Queen's Gambit if I had put a pawn here. And it is Queen's Gambit accepted if I accept the pawn, and it's the Queen's Gambit declined if I don't take the pawn and I do something like this or this. Although it's still protected by the pawn, but it's... Anyway. You want to try to protect pawns with pawns if you can. In the words of Danya, something about... Shoot. Never mind. I have to take that quote back because it is a good quote, but I can't remember it verbatim. Verbatim? I'm not sure. But it's protect with the least valuable piece. And the queen makes a terrible defender, and the king makes a terrible defender. So this is all theory moves. Okay. So still book move. 4 pawns attack. Creates a massive center. This was a bit intimidating. So this was the wrong idea. It was a pawn move. It was just the wrong pawn move. And, you know, I really need to know the difference between whether I should throw it this way or I should throw it this way. I mean, it was kind of like... I think that I was just like, if here then takes, then how does this really help me at all? But maybe that's besides the point. So, but let's review. What happens if I would do this and then takes? Do I take back? Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think so, because then this helps the opponent. And that's the only move, and then I have like this dumbass king sitting right here, and the rook can't get out, so all of that is like bad for me. So I should have struck back in the center and allowed this. So the entire point of this was just to get the queen active. But what about... Oh, because it attacks the pawn. So what happens... Why is that an inaccuracy? Just okay, whatever. Whatever you say. Whatever you say. Okay, so the idea was move the queen here. So throw out, sack the pawn. Why does it sack the pawn though? Oh, because of this. See? Because now I've got so much pressure on this position. So that was the idea. I missed that entirely. Aren't you glad that I'm doing the work so you don't have to? So, 4 pawns attack, when they have you looking like this, it is not this move which I played in the game. It's this move. So you're supposed to sack a pawn, and then the queen moves. Okay, so what is the best follow-up? Well, apparently it's this. To defend this pawn. Because they saw the idea, and I didn't see the idea. Okay. So good to know. Good to know. I'm pleased to know this. So, we didn't play that. I played this dumbass move. Should have taken. Why? Why should I have taken here? This was a miss. So, instead I should have taken here. What happens if queen takes? Queen takes. No, absolutely not. That doesn't work. Probably knight comes out. That's an excellent move, but castling is better. But it does disrupt his structure, so there's not 3 pawns, you know, so I guess. And then, you know, at a certain point. Alright, but we didn't get that. He played a blunder. I didn't capitalize. And now we have like an evaluation that's pretty much equal. I take, he pushes, best move. Move the knight to this output square, best move. That was a mistake. I had a better move. Move the knight here. What's the idea of this? It's definitely not that, because then this and then that. So, what was the idea of this? If here, why? Why is this? Because it opens up the queen? Oh. So let's say, oh. I see. Because he doesn't really have this either. Because I could take, it's not a good move. Yeah, putting more pressure on the position does make more sense first. Okay, so I guess the idea was if I did here, and he did here, and then I brought the bishop out next, and then he brought his bishop, what I could do, possibly, is... No, that doesn't work. Possibly take, and if takes back, which seems pretty logical, queen checks, which is a great move, because if he does this, then I can sack. So, sometimes you just need to like, because if this, check, that's a blunder, that's a blunder, that's a blunder, wow, found the brilliancy, but didn't figure out why it was brilliant. And this is why you continue on. So, if takes, queen takes, okay, why? Can't go here. Well, you can go here, you can't go, okay, so, you can't go to these squares. You can move here. Oh. Here's the best move. Why? The rook is hanging. That's interesting. I'm like glad that I looked at this. I don't see the follow-up. So I do win this piece for free. The king is not doing so well. What, is there this? Oh shit. So, let's say queen here. Well, let's just assume that they're stressed out. Well, I can't do that anymore. Where's the follow-up? Well... Okay, let's assume that he does find this move. And this is threatening a fork here. I can't castle this way because then I lose this pawn. And this is kind of like scary still. But I think that... I don't know why I wouldn't win the rook. Because I thought that was the point of the brilliant move. Oh! Obviously that's a blunder. Okay, never mind. So I found the brilliant move, but I also found the blunder. Fucking idiot. That doesn't work. Okay, so the idea was not this, because it was... Okay, I understand now. Okay. So that was the entire point, and that's why that was bad, and this was brilliant. Okay, great. So, but none of that happened. But now I know. You know, I should have gone for it. So he plays this instead. This was an inaccuracy. I had something better. It's close to equal, but... Alright. This was also an inaccuracy. I wasn't thinking with my head here. What was this? Takes. Why would I put it here? Okay, he won this now. Oh, that doesn't work because he can't take, so he has to, like, and he's got no... I felt like bring the... So I could have played, like, way more aggressive. This is why you do reviews. Playing too principled, you know, playing too positional. More pressure. I guess he could have just done this. Or even like this. So I guess that's that. Yeah, this was too slow. Because he could have just brought the bishop back and then, you know, still moved the knight there. No, he couldn't. Yes, he could. So the idea is he could have moved it here, see? And then, you know, if just... I no longer have this tactic. So it was kind of like, what do you call it? Short-sighted of me to do that. But, you know, opponent just like threw away his queen. See that tactic that I mentioned in the game? Takes. Pretty standard. I don't understand. Move the queen there instead, which would have blocked him from, like, running away. Both of these. Wait, what? Is that mate? No, because he still has this. I was trying to keep up with the checks. This wasn't really a good move. That wasn't... Yeah, I did consider it, but I was just like, you know, I'll save this for the next move. That wasn't even a good move. But, yeah, should have taken... What? Oh. That's me. Alright. Well, we didn't get that. I missed some stuff. But it's all good. I wish I found that brilliant move, but I wasn't even looking for it. And this is why we do game reviews. Alright. Well, If you like this video, consider giving me a thumbs up, and until the next time, I guess. Later.